Why Are We Like This, the podcast that treats Florida like the active crime scene that it is. I am your host, David Quinones. I am joined by my co-host, Tomas Kennedy. What's up, Tomas?
Increasingly, the world is an active crime scene, man.
Every day it gets better and better. And if Tomas is here, that can only mean that we are also joined by our other co-host. I know he's alive because he sent me a picture of himself with his wife in today's newspaper, looking totally, completely alive. He's definitely alive, guys. It's Gerald Doherty. Hey, Gerald.
Yo, call me the Iranian blockade the way that we're back up.
So we got a little, I guess just like kind of a collection of a lot of stuff going on that we're going to throw together an episode surrounding today. Obviously, some of the bigger news from the last couple of weeks since the last time we had a chance to talk to all of you folks is Graham's down. Multiple Grahams are down.
That bad week to be named Graham.
Terrible time for the Grahams.
Graham crackers are weeping.
Yeah.
So we've never talked about it on this show, but I'm told that there was a progressive Senate candidate in the state of Maine, which I'm told is in the United States, that is a state, apparently, that had a guy who I guess things just didn't work out for this guy. I keep wanting to say Graham Norton. Graham Plattner. Graham Plattner, I guess the controversial candidate who had won a primary that seemed like it was dubiously timed to be coinciding with a bunch of accusations, or I don't know. I haven't really followed. Either of you? We were joking in the chat about how none of us really kind of jumped in too hard on the Graham Plattner story didn't know that much, or like
no. I not only did not jump, I have been critical of Graham Plattner for so long, and you guys know.
Is it because of the Blackwater? Was it the Blackwater thing? Because he was a Blackwater mercenary, right?
Yeah. From the moment I found out about this guy, I was like, wait, he is a nepo baby, whose like grandfather is like a famous furniture designer, and then he went and did 4 voluntary tours in Iraq. And then went and served as a mercenary for a Blackwater subsidiary in Afghanistan as a machine gunner, and worked in Abu Ghraib, the prison that's infamous for torture of Iraqi detainees. I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm good.
It does say something about like the political left in this country, right, Gerald? That like, you just gotta kind of say something approximating the right stuff about Palestine or like one specific issue, and you get like a lot of grace on the left.
I mean, I want to say I guess since Trump got elected, and maybe even before, I remember there was this big question of why can't the Democrats have a Tea Party of their own? When are we going to get a left Tea Party? And I do think that the Graham Plattner campaign is proof of concept that you do not actually want a left Tea Party, because the Tea Party as a project is a dead project. It collapsed, achieved none of its stated goals, was basically just a reaction to the election of Barack Obama and a rebranding exercise after the collapse of the Iraq War, and as well as the collapse of Lehman Brothers after 30 years of neoliberalism under Alan Greenspan, yada, yada, yada. All this to say, it was a hodgepodge, like quote unquote, like populist, anti-estat, like had a lot of enemies, not a lot of program, paid a lot of lip service, and in the end accomplished very little. You don't want, this is not the way. Like, I'm sorry, just getting like, we just need regular people. Like, I'm not saying you can't have working class people. I'm not saying you can't have people who come from our backgrounds, but just pick a guy who pays lip service in the right way. And to Tomas's point, even guys who are stationed at Abu Ghraib. That's not the way you want. Maybe be a little more thoughtful in your process. Maybe be a little more deliberative in choosing your candidate. I don't know. This whole once I saw the accusations, I knew it was time to jump. I will say I did not, to Tomas's point, once he was a mercenary, that was kind of it. I did not know what a Totenkopf was before this whole campaign. I did not know when I saw a Nazi tattoo, I was expecting to see a swastika. I did not know what a Totenkopf was. However, I am not the person who is going around describing himself as a history buff while also having a Totenkopf tattoo and then covering up that tattoo with my phone in my Kik profile. Like the idea that this was... Anyway.
I'll just say, I am not opposed to the idea of combat veterans serving in public office if they have good politics and they are aware of how bad it is to serve in the U.S. military, in my opinion.
Like Christopher Dorner.
Yeah. Anyways, but the thing is, like, when you are a nepo baby, you had you didn't come from a poor background, right? Like, you didn't have to serve in the military to get a pension or go to school or whatever. You went there because you wanted to. In fact,
yeah,
the one quote that I read of him that I was like, oh no. He was like, yeah, I volunteered because I read too much Hemingway. I'm like, motherfucker, Hemingway went and fought the fascists in Spain. He fought on the Republican side.
Hemingway died psyched that he had joined the military.
Yeah, like
he lived his whole life not regretting that.
Hemingway went to kill Nazis, right? Like, Hemingway went to kill fascists. Like, bro, you went to kill poor Middle Eastern people while working for a Blackwater like subsidiary. Like,
yeah,
I was just like, I can't get behind this guy. That's all I'll say about it. I'm so sick of like hearing about this guy. It's been so frustrating for months.
So let's zip away from Maine down to South Carolina, where meet the new Graham, same as the old Graham, where we are hearing that following the death of the state's senior senator, Lindsey Graham, who we've talked about a few times on this show before, and goes without any introduction. He requires no introduction. Unless you meet him online, in which case it's a very specific type of introduction, has passed away. As of about 24 hours ago, the body is not cold yet, but we are already hearing that he will be replaced by his sister, Darlene Graham Nordone, who I don't know what we turned into. I just flew in. The guys know that I just had a vacation in Europe, and I was thinking, like, I don't know what we turned into, just like a straight up nation of like House of Lords, where you just pass these things on to like the next guy in line, or the next sister in line, I suppose. So of course, Lindsey Graham, most famous for the consistent like decades long rumors that dogged him about his sexuality, which is not a problem. I want to be clear, because I think a lot of liberals tend to mix this up. It's not a problem that he's gay. That's fucking okay to be gay. What's problem is to be a part of a political, like, well, not a part, but like a main piece of a political project aimed at, disenfranchising and harming that population.
I'd go further than that, honestly. Like,
you think it's a problem to be gay? Damn, Tomas, it's messed up.
No, what I'm getting at is, I don't think it's just about the hypocrisy of being gay while serving for a party that attacks gay people. I think it's just a problem when you're in such a position of power and high public office to have a hidden facet of your life that you're so embarrassed by, because it leaves you open to blackmail. It leaves you open to compromise. I mean, this guy is like fucking voting on millions of dollars, billions of dollars worth of weapon sales, packages, military aid, trade agreements, etc. It's dangerous to have a U.S. senator with that level of power and prominence to be exposed and vulnerable to compromise, to blackmail. Just own your life. It's all good, but yeah, I just think it's unacceptable. It's dangerous. You shouldn't be in public office if you're gonna be vulnerable like that.
For me, what is most objectionable about Lindsey Graham is not being gay, but being omnipowerful and omnipresent to the point where he could just whisper into Donald Trump's ear, "I want to go to war with Iran," and that alone makes Donald Trump go to war with Iran. That's been at least the sense that I get in my Patriot meme pages and my cryptocurrency forums. So I'm really upset. I thought this was going to be like a Grima Wormtongue situation now, where this morning we announce that Theoden is king again. We're leaving Iran. And now I learned that that's not happening at all. So I feel like maybe this is not really a Lord of the Rings situation, but so much as like a Final Fantasy situation where there's now a shadow Lindsay that we have to identify and neutralize and take out. That you peel back each layer of evil, it only reveals a higher level of evil. And it's just very frustrating as a patriot to find out that this was not the last domino that had to fall.
It's never getting better.
To my like kind of salacious impugnations of his sexuality, I just want to make it known that this is not some crazy thing. If you don't follow the world of politics, if you just don't care about Lindsey Graham or something, none of us are just wildly asserting this. There has been no shortage of not just smoke, but pretty overt fire about his sexuality. And I just wanted to draw our attention to this tweet from a pretty well-known transgender author and activist named Jesse James Rose, who yesterday posted, just woke up to find out Lindsey Graham is dead. LOL. This is she titled this eulogy for a horny hypocrite. Just woke up to find out Lindsey Graham is dead. LOL. Most of you know him as the homophobic senator from South Carolina, but to me, he will always be the man who paid Twinkie pre-transition college student, myself, that's Jesse James, a fat stack of cash to do unspeakable things to him in a hotel room while he wore red lingerie. It is a canon trans event to have far-right freaks bankrolling you and then turning around and voting against you. People love to judge us for it, but I never see them opening their wallets. Shout out to sex workers everywhere forced to humanize their enemies just to make rent. But there's like a million stories like that from the Beltway about that have come out over the years. I agree with Tomas's point that, and also yours, Gerald, that it's like the one thing that Lindsey Graham as a statesman seemed really good at in the latter days of his life was, people always say like Trump is one of these people who just whoever the last person that he talked to is kind of like he Lindsey Graham seemed very good at being the last person that Trump had talked to in key moments. He
was everywhere. So, what turned out to be the last like 6 months of his life, I don't think that you could go very long without seeing him pressing this case. He was on a plane saying, "Cuba, you're next." Like, you could not get away from this man. He won. I mean, even in death, he won.
Vindicated. All right, so that's enough about Lindsey Graham, probably for the duration of our time on this podcast. I can't imagine bringing him up ever again. So moving on, war is back on. You know what? Before we get to that, I have a little thing I want to read to you guys. This is from Reddit. This is a tweet that I came across in the r/Miami Reddit, and it'll probably be down by the time anybody hears this. But it's titled "Florida Needs You All." And I just want you guys to listen to this and react organically to it. This is not an ad. I'm a 15-year-old boy trying to save what is left of our environment. In the upcoming election, please vote Fishback. His leading competitor, Byron Donalds, wants to build AI data centers across Florida, destroying our ecosystem.
True.
He wants to increase the amount of housing, worsening traffic, and the environmental impact on humans. The environment. I'm sorry. The environmental impact of humans. Sorry.
Oh God, these people are stupid.
Most importantly, Fishback.
You got me with the data centers and totally lost me.
Most importantly, Fishback is not accepting outside funding, but Byron Donalds has already received millions of dollars. I know he's a Republican, but he is the most left candidate out there. I am also left wing, but he's our last hope. Mods, please don't take this down. I'm just trying to do my part in saving the Florida that we all know. This is dedicated towards Republicans, all caps. So I just wanted to get you guys' thought of this analysis from somebody who's not old enough to vote yet, purportedly. Who knows who this person actually is. Right. But assuming that they are who they say they are. Of course, James Fishback, it should be noted, is I think, probably the furthest right candidate in my life living in Florida that I've ever seen get a significant, like more than 1% of a primary, consistently polling in any like real way. I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but he is just atrociously right wing in a way that is very hard to distill down to one just one factoid about him. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Fishback the only hope for left-wing voters?
I don't even know what to say about that. This state is fucking an affront to God.
Yeah. I don't know who he paid to write that, but he got his money's worth. I will say that. It's very cute. No.
To be fair to Fishback, he probably didn't pay for this because my understanding is he's dead fucking broke and has like couches being repossessed out of his home. I remember a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and his Tesla, and he showed up to court with I think like a $10,000 watch, and the judge was like, "Bro, like, you need to give that watch
Ante up, run that too."
I think he said some shit like he was like, "Oh, I borrowed this watch; it's not mine."
Yeah, well, you know what? Run that shit too. Chop it off with the bailiff, baby. Yeah, that's another very funny part. Only funny because do your research into James Fishback. He is just a reprehensible individual, and it does, to Tomas's point, say a lot about us that in this state. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I have kind of been seeing a lot of Fishback stuff come from the youth. It's like the 15 to 21 crowd that loves him. If you see
all men.
All guys,
all like loser Gen Z men.
Mm-hmm. So I do believe the children are our future, but I don't mean that. But I believe the children are our future.
Yeah, not in a good
pejorative.
Yeah.
I mean, in a very literal sense, yes, they are our future. Technically, yes.
Zooming out a little bit, the war is back on. If you guys were, was the war on last time we met? I don't remember.
Who knows?
As of today, this is the latest from the New York Times. After another light night of attacks, the United States and Iran appear to be reverting to the heightened conflict that existed before their ceasefire, as they exchanged incendiary rhetoric, and President Trump said he was reinstating the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports. Iran, threatening to escalate the confrontation further, vowed revenge for the killing of its supreme leader and appeared undeterred by nearly a week of U.S. strikes. Mr. Trump said the United States would take control of the disputed Strait of Hormuz. Sounds familiar. Charging a 20% fee on all goods. So one thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I don't know how much burn it got here stateside, but man, in Europe, while I was just there, the thing with Spain had a lot of people hooting and hollering that Trump in a recent UN
NATO summit.
NATO summit, not UN summit. Just kind of like was railing against people who have been, throughout NATO and in different NATO member countries have been like, putting friction to his agenda, and he just kind of looked off stage and was like, please stop all trade with Spain to somebody. And I would love to see who that person was.
But then he just like forgot about it, because as far as I know, we're still like trading with Spain.
Well, I heard, because it was getting broken down a lot. The funny thing about going on a European vacation with like a little kid is that like you're in the hotel room pretty early, like 9-10 o'clock. You're usually back in the hotel room, and
CNN. You watching Caitlin Collins?
There's no CNN. I got to watch.
Oh, thank God.
I got to watch some really, really good. There's like I forget I think it was RGCN or something like that. It's an African-based 24-hour news station that in Paris does English language news. And then there's also the one that's like very clearly, I don't remember the call letters for this, but it's very clearly owned by China. And then there is BBC in English and all this. And the prevailing sentiment seems to be like, well, first of all, the rules of the European Union are such that you can't just cut off trade with a single member without, whatever. There's like a million different practical blockades with the way that they run their trade regime. You can't just cut off with one. You can't just cut off trade with Spain.
Right.
So there's that, but everything really just seems to be a victory lap for China. Everything is just like the European, like all of the different talking heads on these, 24-hour news stations in Europe all just seem to be like, oh yeah, this is another opportunity for China to come in and do a better job as trade partners than what the U.S. was doing. And so like it doesn't seem very panicky. It seems more like they treat Trump as sort of like an object of fascination over there. Like, oh, like a cow with two heads or something.
Everyone's sick of him. Everybody knows that he's bluffing. Everybody knows that he's a pussy. Everybody knows he's a bumbling fool. They have to treat him with like, kid's gloves, because he can do a lot of damage because he's commanding the U.S. Military and economic like powerhouse. But at the end of the day, everybody knows that he's boxed in Iran and that he's a fucking pussy. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you guys saw. Apparently, he's giving a speech tonight at 9 p.m., which is not good because we're like lobbing missiles back and forth across the Strait of Hormuz between Iran and the Gulf states and the U.S. and Israel. And, he keeps talking about taking Karg Island and the Strait, and now he's going to give a speech. Might just be him giving another moronic, whatever speech, but I'm not feeling good about it, man.
On Tomas's point, it's true that he's worn out whatever welcome he had, and that he's a pussy and a coward and all the rest. But he's most importantly a term limited pussy. They won't have to deal with him for very much longer. And the other thing is, the relationships between the Eurozone and China. They only got stronger over Trump's first term, and now they're only getting stronger now. Like, he is like maybe the most like pro-China accelerant, and frankly, like, given everything that's happened with the Iran war as a threat to the ability of the energy system globally to reproduce itself, probably going to be the most like pro-electrification president, even without something like a Green New Deal, just because people see what the issues of maintaining yourself on the fossil fuel system are going to be if this guy's going to start another war in the Middle East because the ghost of Lindsey Graham visited in his dreams, or whatever the excuse will be next time. So it's interesting to see, like to hear that people are already. I mean, it sounds honestly, David, like they're making a sales pitch. Like, they're not just doing analysis in Europe. They're basically saying, like, hey, if there's any Chinese investors or Chinese diplomats who, came here with a bag, your bag would be very well appreciated. Let's talk, let's link, let's do business. Like, it does not sound like just mere speculation on their part.
The whole EU sentiment is like right now kind of like encapsulated with the Adam Silver meme of like, learn Chinese, buddy, time to learn Chinese, because that is the direct. Yeah, it is very much like you can feel the pivot. I would say stronger, stronger in France than in the UK, obviously, but stronger in France. You can feel this like kind of like, hey, EU and Northern Africa is like open for business. Like, we're taking suitors. We'll work with anybody else. And if it happens to be China, whatever, you're the same distance and ocean away. You're the same amount of landmass away that the United States is an ocean away. So fuck it, whatever.
They're also professional and reliable, and are not just constantly fluctuating between moronic trade policies and starting idiotic wars that precipitate energy crises that the rest of the world has to contend with.
Yeah.
They actually also like will build infrastructure in your country. I mean, they definitely engage in predatory lending practices and, all the kinds of things that global hegemons do. But, they're actually trying to forge cooperative trade and political relations, unlike this country, which is just fucking, I don't know, airstriking fishermen across, the Pacific and Caribbean seas and just bombing little girls in schools and shit. It's crazy.
Kidnapping elected officials.
Yeah, kidnapping fucking political leaders. It's crazy.
Okay. A couple more things before we get to our main story that I wanted to check in on, which is we're going to check in on the status of Miami's municipal bond that's been floating around for several months now. But one thing I wanted to just kind of try to sell you guys on. All right, knocking on your door, and I'm the
Hormuz tax to the Eileen tax.
Let's say I'm knocking on your guys' door and I've got the pamphlet, the clipboard in my hand, and I'm selling you this product. Okay, the latest in luxury. This is from the Miami Herald. Miami Herald's Alex Harris. The latest in luxury in Florida, a guaranteed private flight out before a hurricane. And this has some resonance with the municipal bond story because it speaks to what we choose to do in lieu of investing in, and eventually how much it ends up costing us, investing in our public infrastructure and how much it ends up costing us. So, but Florida has a new niche industry to help those who can afford it get out of Dodge before a hurricane whirls ashore. A newly launched company in Florida proposes a way to avoid getting stuck on the highway or gouged by last-minute commercial or charter flights. You can buy essentially an annual hurricane season pass that saves a seat on a private evacuation flight out of Florida. Priority Evac launched this summer, and it's selling seats on planes that would leave from major Florida airports and take evacuees to Atlanta for $1,250 a year. That's per person. So if you have like a 4-person family, that's like $5,000. It's good for 2 separate storms in one season. Pets can come for an additional $125, or if you just want to save the money, just fuck them and just leave them behind, I guess. Priority Evac's tagline is evacuation elevated, which I always remember that I had a copy editor once who told me, and this was a joke that was repeated in a season of The Wire. Like I don't remember what episode, but where I had said that a person was evacuated, and he was like, no, evacuating a person is making them take a shit. A building is evacuated. So I just always laugh when I see like evacuation elevated. So anyway, we would either, Gerald, you don't need this obviously, up where you live, but were you guys going to invest in evacuating your elevating your evacuation on Priority Evac?
Yeah, why not?
Tomas, I never asked you, like, what do you do for hurricanes?
I just leave.
You leave.
Or I just power through it.
Just yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a big hurricane in forever.
Right. I mean, Andrew was the last really big one.
Right. I mean, no, we had Wilma and stuff, right? Like, doesn't.
Yeah, I guess you can count Wilma.
Yeah.
If you count Wilma, then you also have to count what was it? The one the same year as Maria.
Listen, I don't think I would leave for anything after like category 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. I'm staying home.
I told you, was it you guys that I was
3, 4, 5? I'm leaving.
Was it you guys I was telling about that I had like randomly found in my email that I had an email correspondence with the founder of Kalshi before it became big?
Yes.
And it wasn't on an episode, or no? Have I told this story on an episode?
Tell it again because it's so good.
So I found this years ago when, if you keen listeners will remember, longtime listeners will remember that I had a problem, like many Floridians, getting my old Coral Gables house insured, like tens of thousands of other Floridians. For a period of time, there was just no insurer, and my wife and I were trying to find solutions, and we stumbled across this company that basically, we scheduled a call. It was a startup. We scheduled a call with the founder and the CEO at the time. It was a small startup, and her solution was, we'll let you bet on an outcome that, you pay $2,000. Think of that as your insurance premium. And if a hurricane lands anywhere in Florida, you get paid out like $40,000 basically, or $50,000 or something like that. And it was the beginning of the prediction market. And this person, whose name escapes me right now, and I don't care enough about her to go looking it up, is the founder, CEO of Kalshi. It was Kalshi, and I had completely forgotten. Now that they are a household name and they're responsible for some of the worst things happening on the planet, I had completely forgotten that I had a Zoom call with this woman in like 2023 or something like that.
Next episode, actually, we should talk about sports gambling and predictive markets. I mean, this is obviously a sickness in our society. And dude, a lot of people that I know, I'm not talking about like morons, right? Like smart people, well-read people, educated people, friends of mine, mostly men, of course, but smart people, they're all on these apps, like betting on sports, betting on politics, betting on dumb shit. I'm like, what?
Dumb shit.
What are you doing? And they're all losing. And like, it's not like they're making money. They're all losing money over and over and over again.
You have pretty honest friends then, because most of those gamblers, you'll only hear about the wins from them. You never find out about the losses.
No, but they say it like it's like funny to them. They'll like send me like their like sports bet, or they'll like, I bet on this, and it's never like huge bets, but like they add up. If you're like every week betting $25 here, $10 here, $50 here, every week, I'm like, dude, this isn't funny. If you're hearing this and you're one of the people that send me this stuff, don't, because I am
Don't do it
judging.
anymore.
I think you're stupid. Like, honestly, I hate to say it. Like, I don't know, but like it's concerning. It's like really hit like critical mass.
It is insane how we've gotten to a point in society where gambling addictions stop being gambling addictions if you make them about the news. Like if you make the person gambling feel smart. It is still just a gambling addiction. Like it is still just exactly what it is.
Gerald, did you hear the thing about I think it was FanDuel got in trouble recently because a man who I forget the exact story. He ended up like I think trying to take his own life or something like that.
Is this the Bryce Harper? Yeah.
The Bryce Harper story. Yeah. So Tomas, I don't know if you know who Bryce Harper is. He's like a Major League Baseball superstar, like a really big, long time, been around forever. From Las Vegas, a Mormon, like a very supposedly a very devout Mormon.
I don't know anything about sports.
Okay, so he's just a really good player, very famous, and he put himself up like many athletes do for an extra revenue stream on Cameo, right? Which a lot of people do, a lot of these guys do. Selling like for $500, he'll sell you happy birthday, whatever. And FanDuel, the enormous sports betting company, has a whole entire division devoted to basically going out there and getting, let's say that you're addicted to betting on Argentina, and over the course of your fandom with Argentina, you bet like $500,000 on Argentina. You lose $500,000.
That's a good bet considering the level of preferential treatment they're getting from FIFA referees. So.
Yeah, the red cards and the VARs. We got to talk about that one. Whatever. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to get into it. It's a whole other conspiracy. Anyway, one thing that they had this man on the hook who eventually ended up over the course of his gambling losing $1.5 million in these, like what you're talking about, like these really degenerate microtransactions, like compulsive betting on like the outcome of the next pitch or the next pass or run play on a football game, like real brain burnout shit. And just I guess when he was in a point where he was trying to like break away from it, they kind of saw that the whatever FanDuel internal metrics saw that he was trying to pull back on his gambling, and they sent him they used Cameo to get Bryce Harper to do a little shout out video, and they sent it to him to like kind of entice him back in, like, hey, you're doing a great job. We love that you're doing this. Keep it up, buddy. And Bryce Harper didn't even know what he was reading. He apparently, according to him, that he didn't even know what he was reading. Anyway, I agree. We should do an episode on this. It's a fertile ground, especially for Florida. A lot of it is headquartered here.
You said the word that best describes it. It's degenerate shit.
Yeah. It's gutter shit.
Gutter shit, dude. It's really bad, honestly.
Another thing we'll talk about maybe next week, because this is literally just broke like a few hours ago, but the huge Trump IRS deal fell apart. Well, all I think is that it'll probably come back alive, in the future. But down here in Miami, an Obama appointee judge shit all over his plan to basically just get $10 billion out of the IRS and to get a $2 billion fund that he could use to just kind of bribe and pay out a bunch of his political allies, whatnot. So that's literally just happening. And the judge, Kathleen Williams, has also referred Trump's personal attorney to the Florida bar. She's making an ethics complaint about him and just the generally overtly corrupt case there that this was. So whatever, we'll talk about that when we actually have some time to wrap our heads around it. But today we did want to have, like I said earlier, a quick check-in on the status of Miami's municipal bond. After 3 deferrals, last Thursday, the so-called Safe and Ready Miami bond, championed by our new mayor, Eileen Higgins, is finally going to be heading to a vote in November, where there will be significantly more people at the ballot box to weigh in on it than where I think she originally wanted it to be in the primary vote in August, all she would have needed to do is like call up like 10 friends and get them to vote for it. And City of Miami August midterm year turnout is not great. I will tell you that. Like we've seen people get elected on get like 1,000 votes and get into positions. So this from the Miami Herald's coverage of it on Thursday, and with a headline from Tess Risky and Sofia Baltadona. Miami voters to decide if they like what a $450 million public bond can buy. Miami voters will weigh in on two major proposals affecting government spending this fall after city officials agree to send Mayor Eileen Higgins' $450 million public safety bond to the November ballot. The Miami City Commission on Thursday voted 3-2 to greenlight that bond, named Safe and Ready Miami. It will appear on the same ballot as a statewide proposal to eliminate property taxes. This just like some things are perfect artifacts of history to tell you like where a state or a country or a people are in a moment. And one day, looking at that bond, you'll just looking at that ballot and seeing those two questions on it will just be like a great way to know what Miami was about in like 2026. Higgins wants voters to approve $450 million in spending to replace the city's deteriorating public safety infrastructure, including by building a unified public safety building estimated to cost approximately $300 million that would house various emergency services and new headquarters for the Miami Police Department. The question in front of us today is, do we want to allow voters to choose to repair these facilities, expand the fire rescue facilities we need? These are, this is Mayor Higgins saying that these are problems that our city should have solved 10, 15, 20 years ago, but it didn't. Yeah, no shit.
Evergreen statement.
Yeah, evergreen
Problems
statement.
that should have been solved at the city of Miami, but they weren't.
I was walking by, and again, not to be one of these guys that's like always talking about their vacation or whatever, but like I literally was walking by in Paris, the Hotel de Ville, where they have municipal, where their municipal government happens, and it's a building that has been around for 9 centuries, and they've been doing work there for 9 centuries. Like, I don't know, man. Like, do we not this Miami police officer, this Miami Police Department building that they want to replace is like 47 years old or something like that. And it's falling apart. It's falling. Yeah, you should have taken care of it 10 or 15 years ago. And guess what? If I give you a $300 million building, do I think you're going to take care of it over the course of the next? No, of course not. The next 5 mayors are just going to pocket the money. Like, I don't know.
Also, David, we have $180 million left on the Forever-Bond, which is truly forever. It's lasting for forever. And we have to pay it back with interest, by the way, which is going to be the same thing with this bond.
Yeah.
It's not a $450 million bond. It's a $1 billion bond, because that's what we're going to have to pay back over the life cycle of the bond. And we're about to, do a serious overhaul of property taxes in November. It's going to be up on the, on the ballot. Voters are going to vote for it. That's going to cause a huge lack of revenue generating at City of Miami. How are they going to get the money to pay this back? And also, I challenge, because Billy's been looking for this. I also have. I have not seen a single video or audio footage of Eileen Higgins campaigning on a $500 million, which is really $1 billion, public, quote unquote, public safety bond. Nobody voted for this. Nobody wants this.
This wasn't part of her platform. I mean, you and I both attended. I forget if you did. I know we were both really tuned into it, but we both. I attended at least a couple of the.
We did.
Of the
forums.
Yeah, the forums. None of this never came up.
This was
never a thing.
But you know what it is? It's a slush fund. It's a slush fund for developer handouts, like all these bonds are. And politicians, by the way, they love these bonds because it's short-term revenue that they get to enjoy, but long-term debt that their successors have to deal with.
Right.
I just think it's bananas. And the other crazy part is that the 2 Democrats on the dais, Christine King and Damian Pardo, are the ones that voted no. So, and the 3 Republicans are the ones that voted to give Eileen, the possibility of this bond passing in November. So, I know it's like stupid, like partisan analysis, but why are the big government, tax and spend Democrats the ones that are like
holding the
wait? Should we be a little bit more fiscally responsible here and like slow down this bond process and like figure like the the revenue that we're going to be generating, how we're going to pay it back. Maybe we should do some town halls to ask people what their priorities are if we're going to give, the city just a big old, unaccountable credit card for the next 10 years. There was not a single process of consultation with the community when it comes to this. Nothing.
Yeah, which they did call that out, some of the commissioners, but like sometimes you'll see a thing too, and like in stories like this where you realize like it's just grifts all the way down, and you see like there was this quote that I made a note of here from Christy King where she says, I'm sure we could, if we put our minds together, identify public-private partnerships that would lower the amount of money that we need to ask our residents to go into debt for. If you're listening to this podcast and maybe you just haven't paid attention to this like buzzword, this like 2012 buzzword, public-private partnership, that means privatization. Okay, so that means that's what it is. So like what you got is a set of commissioners who are like, well, I wanted to get my grift going this way, right? Because it's the same thing Tomas is talking about. It's influence, it's a budget, it's a hunk of money that you get to like kind of decide how it gets spent, right? The same way that Higgins is going to curry favor with all types of deep pockets with this huge hunk of money should it pass, and it's all just like, well, I want the money to be able to, boost my little agenda or whatever. And public-private partnership would have brought you to the same fucking place as owing hundreds of millions of dollars in a forever bond.
I don't necessarily agree with it on the context that Christine King was talking about, because she voted no on the bond.
Yeah, she did vote no.
What she was saying specifically, I get what you're saying within the broader context of what public-private partnerships usually mean, but what she was saying at the meeting is basically like, why do we need a bond at all? Why don't we go back to some of these developers that were constantly greenlighting their projects and ask them to cough up more cash for these redevelopments? Which, again, I think, I'm not a NIMBY, so I do believe we need to build a lot more housing in Miami. We need to build truly affordable and multi-family use zoning housing. But I do agree that like, okay, well, if you're going to like greenlight every single piece of development like they do at that day is all the time, then ask them to cough up more a lot more fucking cash, like a lot more. So that's what she was talking about. She was basically saying like we could basically fund a lot of this just by squeezing developers. And obviously what happens with the money is highly questionable, right? Because then it's the application of the money, and that's what I'm with you. But in terms of at least positing an alternative vision that allowed her to vote no, I was like, she's not wrong, like.
I do think like I'm confounded by a lot of like damned if you do, damned if you don't stuff, specifically when it comes to Miami-Dade County. And like you touched on one of them there, which is housing, where it feels like, yes, housing is unaffordable and the solution, more housing, right? Well, I mean, we've got 40,000 units of what you're talking about. Like you can debate how affordable it is, because affordable is a very fungible term here in Miami. They'll tell you that a $3,000 a month 2-bedroom is affordable here in Miami-Dade. But like even if housing like went down, even if it was like almost halved, it would be, which is preposterous and could never happen short of if the housing market was halved, it would come in concert with the type of crippling recession or depression that would make it pointless, because we'd all be eating cats in the streets anyway. So like it's that's why I also read these things from a Christy King, or I think also Pardo had said something along the lines of supporting other options, public-private partnerships and all this. And I'm like, so it was like either they're going to get the money one way or another, and somehow everybody's going to be on the hook for it. And like this way, they're just like, oh, well, just let it. Somebody wrote recently that they were saying that like what they hate about modern day like consumerism and brands is that that companies almost seem like resentful that they have to ask you for the money, that they're just like, they just want to be able to take money straight from you. It's like, it's annoying for companies to even have to ask. And like, that's kind of like, it feels like that's kind of where we are now as taxpayers in Miami, where like, it's just like, damn, fine, fuck, I'll put it on the ballot, whatever. Like, fuck you. Right. And if not, I'll just put it back on next year or the next year. It'll get shoved through one way or another.
The worst part about rent seeking is the seeking. You make me go and do all this work for the rent. Just give me the rent. Then it'd be no problem.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from all this seeking. Your rent has been sought.